Sturt Animal Management Plan is really all about empowering our dog owners to make the correct choices when it comes to their pets. I guess the vision in the Charles Sturt Animal Management Plan is to support pet owners and create an environment where people and pets integrate safely and harmoniously together. So our 5-year animal management plan, which was launched last year, it actually builds on the solid foundation of our previous plans, continues the 3 central themes of education, encouragement, and lastly, enforcement. So there are 3 E's. One of the most contentious issues, I would have to say, is dogs on the foreshore in Charles Sturt. So our coastline is about 13 kilometres. We've got a lot of space, and we have a bylaw in place that requires dogs to be on lead between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Outside of those times, they do have to be under effective control. Now, I'm sure you can appreciate this is quite a polarising topic, and our community has very much divided views when it does come to when dogs need to be on lead and when they can be off lead. And essentially, every dog owner believes that their dog should be exempt from this requirement because it's cute, small, a puppy, has a shiny collar, is trained really well. But at the same time, many dog owners believe that dogs should be more restricted. So we are working in a space where non-dog owners and dog owners are very much in opposing views. Our beach patrol program had run for approximately 10 years, but prior to 2015, our beach patrols were primarily done by our community safety officers. They would drive up and down the beach, expiate dog owners if needed, or tell them to put their dog on a lead. What we found though is that many dog owners would just unclip their dog the moment the beach patrol went past, and the really why wasn't being understood, why this bylaw was in place. There was still a lot of, pull from non-dog owners and dog owners alike. We then engaged a beach education officer, which at the time was done on foot, so they weren't in a car, and they weren't authorised either. So they would go along and they would ask people to please put your dog on a lead. They would also capture some statistical data, how many people they've spoken to, what they've done. However, when we did our animal management plan review, we found that the community was actually asking for increased enforcement. They wanted more presence down on the foreshore. And some dog owners as well that were doing the right thing recognised this. We look to change the social expectation and the social norms around dogs on the beach, and why it is indeed better for the dogs if they're all either on lead or off lead at the same time. Through an understanding of animal behaviour, we realised that dogs behave very differently when they're on and off lead. Hence, we could prevent a lot of incidences by explaining to our community why this is really important. From 2015, we changed our focus in the educational context. Our beach patrols became authorised. They could suddenly enforce this requirement, and we actually hired beach education officers with a background in training and behaviour. What we have found is that having the types of skills, so having the actual animal behaviour and training background in the beach education role specifically, allows the officer to better connect with the community, and not only in an enforcement role, but also in a positive ongoing educational role with the community. Quite recently, we also started enforcing the requirements to have your dog on the lead around the hooded plovers and the red-capped plovers on the foreshore, which again our beach education officers did. We also gave them a vehicle which allowed them to cover more ground. And the officers started creating a real connection with the community by speaking to them about their dog and the behaviour of their dog, and why our laws are really there to benefit them as well as the whole community. So last year we partnered with Port Adelaide Enfield to deliver this program across the 2 councils, which was fantastic because it really allowed us to have a greater presence on the foreshore. We now have pretty much a daily presence depending on days are like this, and we do cover both areas. The officers do continue to have a strong educational focus. However, what we have found is that although the role is now an enforcement role also, our compliance has increased due to the fact that our community has a greater understanding of why the rules are there. So the tools and the campaigns that we use are really dependent on the audience and the problem or the issue that we actually have and that we're hoping to address. We use a range of educational methods to reach our pet community. So our dog blog, which sits on the council's main website, acts as a really good base of information and is an informal and a fun way to get our messages across. Our dog blog is a collection of articles on council's main web page, and it is written in an informal and a fun way. And we do find that this does tend to grab our community a lot more. It does allow our main Facebook page, the Pets of Charles Sturt Facebook page, to have a point of reference and refer people to for additional information. So for an example could be, if we are putting a post up, if we're expecting thunderstorms, we might let our community know and say, we're expecting some thunderstorms tonight, maybe keep your furry friends inside. We do recognise some dogs may have anxiety issues around thunder or fireworks, and then we may connect them to a dog blog article that talks about how to manage those issues. Obviously, in turn, this will help with dogs escaping the property, and again, animal behaviour and animal management working hand in hand together. We also have a dedicated page on our website that covers through the regular animal management initiatives, as well as dog ownership quizzes, relating to dog behaviour and responsible dog ownership. So we do have a wealth of information there, so that's one tool that we do use to engage our community. Our community events are a really great way to reach not just the dog owners that reside in Charles Sturt Council, but also those that utilise our services. There are also a really good tool to connect the dog owners to our community safety officers and highlight the important work that they do out in the community. I guess we are always on a lookout for new and innovative strategies that we like to do. So from the Safari Garden that we recently built to our new Semaphore Dog Park that has a dedicated space, a sniffing space. So utilising the latest knowledge that we are made aware of relating to animal behaviour and linking that back to animal management. With all of our animal management plan reviews, we do a council-wide consultation. And we really engage the community to try to find out what the problems in the community are. So additionally, we do ensure that our community safety officers, who really are the eyes and ears of the community, are really involved in the planning. So they may come to us with a topical issue that may be happening in a particular area. And as such, we would look at creating a plan or a program or a bit of a strategy around that particular issue. Always obviously tying it back to our animal management plan, which we believe is quite important. An example of such an initiative is the issue that we had pop up at one of our reserves, MJ McInerney, which is a lovely reserve, quite well utilised by the local community. What happened though is we developed the reserve and created an incredible space, a beautiful playground that won awards, barbecue facilities, brand new toilets, a skate park, and everything else you can think of. It's really great. We started having the issue of dogs coming into the playground space and the owners not having a clear understanding of the bylaw requirement. So there was quite a few near misses and us having to do additional patrols in the space, which really made us think, what's a good way for us to explore proactive ways that we can really work with our community to resolve this issue? We worked with a local artist who had taken some photographs of the dogs that frequented the reserve. Those photographs were used in posters with educational messages that were posted around the reserve itself to really encourage dog owners and dogs to utilise the green spaces and not the playground, because we wanted that reserved for the children and to really avoid that conflict that started to emerge. We also did some stenciling around the path of the reserve itself that indicated which space was purpose-built for whom. The footprints around the playground pointed towards the playground and the puppy paws pointed towards the green space. We really wanted to articulate to the community, we are all here to use this space together, but let's use it safely. We know that if dogs are happier and healthier at home, if they are trained and behaving well, they are less likely to be causing barking complaints. They're less likely to be wandering at large. We know that there's less likely to be dog attacks. So this all feeds back into our animal management plan and really looks at the KPIs and what we are trying to achieve as a community. And obviously, we're then going to have happier and healthier pets. which we all want.